Hello, I'm Carolyn Holzman, and this is Confessions of an SEO. My weekly confessions run around 15 minutes, give or take, and Season 6, we're going to continue my personal journey into the AI unknown, but knowing more every week. Welcome to Season 6, Episode 17 of Confessions of an SEO. Last week I talked about the 100% Club, how they can achieve getting fused into the Google AI model Gemini, and how they can do it by being less expensive than their competitors to help make that happen. It's very interesting. This past week I was talking with a lot of non-marketers about this particular issue, of getting cited by the AI models, that the top of page one isn't what it used to be. Now, that's the entire point of my excitement around VizzEx and what it can do. And I know if VizzEx were a laundry detergent, I think the tagline would be, it gets out every stain. Knowing what I know, how to get quiet for an LLM model, I think it is crazy to try and do what needs to be done without VizzEx. What it does is it's like the vortex of where technical SEO, EAT requirements, and site structure cross over into each other. Now there's some big news. We're officially out of beta and into general availability shortly to be in the WordPress plugin repository. And of course, the pro version is available anytime from the VizzEx website. Now the free version is really just to give you a taste of how easy and painless this process can be. It has very limited functions and not all the bells and whistles of the pro version, but it will give you an idea. Now, my indexation research has really morphed into a way to tell where particular content is on a particular site, where it is in the LLM pipeline. And I don't use a single prompt. I feel like prompt searching is a very primitive and, quite frankly, useless method. It's fancy guessing. And what's cool about this phase of my research is that it is site-specific. It's like a citation detector unit. And I called when I started the index research, I called it the index detector. And everybody thought, oh, this is great. They could put their own site's URLs into it. And I guess, well, it took me a while to catch up. But that's where I'm headed on this new research. So wish me luck. Okay, there are those that know me and my work, know that for the past 2 years, I've been saying something was broken when it came to sites with table of content links, the kind where you touch on the header and it pops you down the page. These table of content links, they break the business. Businesses have filed for bankruptcy because their traffic dried up, and these were affiliates all the way through to financial advisory services. Kind of sad, made me mad. But I finally gotten to the core of the mechanics of how that actually happens. There was a big dust up in early February, those huge enterprise sites. They experienced equally massive drops in their visibility in SERP pages. And one of the ones that wasn't in Lily Ray's crackdown on promotional listicles article, but was mentioned in various posts on LinkedIn, was ClickUp. Now, if you're not familiar with them, they're a cloud-based, it's kind of like an all-in-one productivity project management platform. And they combine functions like task management, document collaboration between teams, goal tracking, time tracking, and a whole lot more to replace a lot of tools. So it was all in one. Now, according to other data tools, ClickUp lost 97.6% of its traffic in 15 months. There's nothing that is small potatoes about ClickIn. We're talking about a company that was valued at $4 billion in October 2021. They have enterprise clients on contracts, and the fact that they lost 78, 98% of their traffic doesn't seem to have impacted their bottom line for now. But it has caused the prices that investors are willing to pay for shares appear that the entire company they're valuing closer to $2 billion. So the math is really easy on that one to see. Now, all of this is happening despite reported revenue growth to over $300 million on their annual recurring revenue. That's a nice chunk of change. Now, Content Levers is a website, and I'll put the link in the description. They published a very detailed, historical, data-filled autopsy report on ClickUp, which was fascinating. Bravo to them. I really appreciate all the work that went into that. So let's just take a quick look at the facts. On paper, ClickUp was invincible. Href had it at a domain rating of 90 plus. It was massive authority, content engines that kind of like SEOs would kill for. And between late 2024, and remember the last helpful content update that ran by itself was in September, and this past February 2026, which was the massive bloodletting of visibility, between those 15 months, ClickUp lost almost 98% of their organic visibility. And they didn't just slide down the rankings. They were systematically removed. Now, in these cases, everybody is looking for someone to blame. The industry really wants a villain. They want to say ClickUp was too promotional or too aggressive, but the data tells a much colder and far more clinical story. Now, the popular, most repeated theory is that this is some sort of moral failure on the part of ClickUp, that Google punished them for having things like 15 calls to action per page or just being too salesy. But if Google penalized sites for being promotional, I don't think Amazon would exist. The thing here is Google isn't a moral arbiter. It's a processing machine. It runs on electricity, literally. Google doesn't care if you're promotional. Google cares if you're computationally expensive. So what's more likely? You offend Google on moral grounds, you get kicked out of the SERPs, or you cost them too much to crawl and you get kicked out of the SERPs. So the autopsy article uncovered that ClickUp scaled over those 15 months to over 7,000 blog posts. Now, to a human, that's a lot of content. To an AI, though, it turns out it was a 70,000 piece puzzle where the pieces didn't fit together. Their rigid use of table of contents, these are those jump links that start and pop you down the page, something that we were all told was best practice, essentially created a hall of mirrors for Google's AI. I've talked about this many times. Table of contents links will kill your domain if there are enough pages that take it underwater. Now, for Google to understand a ClickUp page for its RAG retrieval systems, it had to process 10 times more data than a standard page. And that's how I got to the 70,000 piece puzzle. Those 70,000 pieces over 7,000 pages. And that's how it was costing Google to read them. Now, Google didn't hate the content. Google simply looked at the bill to keep ClickUp in its AI memory and simply refused to pay it. Now, the most haunting piece of the data in the article was as all of this was happening, as they were starting to slide in 2024, ClickUp added 2,815 new articles after the crash began. They were trying to write their way out of a processing problem. They thought that more topical expertise would save them, but they were just adding more weight to a sinking ship. Topical expertise is only valuable if it's ready for retrieval. If your expertise is buried under layers of architectural noise, Google has to treat it as zero value because it costs too much for them to dig down in that. Now, the winners in 2026 aren't going to be the ones with the most words. They're going to be the ones whose sites are cheapest for Google to digest and serve via their AI. Talked about that last week. ClickUp's content was great. Their expertise was real, but they'd become too expensive to be helpful. Now, most of you, maybe you're likely building the same fragment problem that ClickUp has. You think you're building a library, but you're actually building a collision state. You might want to stop it, or you won't be able to pay your own electric bill, because not all of us have $300 million in yearly recurring revenue to pad our fall out of the SERPs. Well, that's it for me this week. Thank you for being a listener to Confessions. As you know, VizzEx makes your site more computationally irresistible. VizzEx is available now for WordPress or HubSpot. In a few weeks, we'll be opening up another accelerated course for VizzEx users. And first dibs on some of the tools inside that are first in their category. Now, the difference isn't more content. It's connected content with the lowest computational cost to LLMs. So go to VizzEx, VizzEx.ai. Thanks, and I'll see you in the silence.